hope we pray for better days.
I just wanted to talk about just how many figures that are released by the government are completely falsified and constructed in such a way as to totally mislead you and make you think that the economy is doing better than what it is, and therefore just give you another reason to at least look into investing just to protect yourself effectively. So the first one I'm going to talk about is employment figures. Did you know that when the government releases employment figures, they include part-time workers who are seeking a full-time job as individuals who are full-time? Makes no sense. As well as that, when they say that someone is on long-term disability living allowance because of a long-standing health issue, they also include those people as full-time employed because they're technically not unemployed. They also do this at the other end of the scale as well. They'll include sometimes unemployed people who are seeking part-time work as part-time workers. They don't do it for every unemployed person, obviously, naturally, then the figure would be 0%. But it just makes you think there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. Another one is inflation. There's two measurements of inflation generally used. One is a consumer price index, the other is a retail price index. Retail price index, let's just use some round numbers for example. Say you have 1,000 items in a shop. You take the price of those 1,000 items, you divide it by 1,000, that's your first figure. Then you do it again the next year and you compare the percentage change. The other one that we just spoke about, the consumer price index, basically if you take 1,000 prices in the shop, you multiply them all together and then you calculate the square root of that off 1,000, the square root of 1,000. That's how they calculate consumer price index. So there's another few differences apart from that, apart from just how they're calculated. So the retail price index includes things like mortgage repayments and council tax. So it's not just as simple as that, but because of how they're calculated, one is inherently lower than the other. The consumer price index will always be lower no matter what. There's an algebraic proof in there somewhere, but suffice to say that one cannot be higher than the other. So the government will use the RPI, which is the one that's always going to be higher than the CPI. They'll use it for instances where they're owed money, which is tied to inflation. However, when the government owes someone else money, and that's related to how much inflation there is, they'll use the CPI, so they pay less. As well as that, the figures that you see released on the TV are the CPI. Including, well, in addition to that fact, they massage the figures every year because what they do is they'll pick and choose that 1,000 items that we talked about that go into constituting the CPI. They will pick and choose items that don't necessarily go up and down that value and just switch the items in and out that they calculate it from every year without really providing an explanation. So let's say, for example, cod goes up 10% in a year. They'll switch cod out for another equivalent thing such as tuna, of which the price might stay the same. So there's lots of examples like this. Effectively, they'll quote it to be around the 1-2% mark. Actually, realistically speaking, it's generally around 7, 8, 9%, something like that. If you don't believe me, there's a really good website that you should look at called shadowstats.com. Obviously, I don't want to say that everything from there is true as well, but it's a really good place to start instead of just blindly following what they release on the news. Another thing, one final thing we'll talk about, I'm not going to talk about everything comprehensively, which is meddled with today, but these are 3 good examples, is house prices. House prices go up when more money is printed by the banks because lots of banks use that extra money to buy houses, so inevitably they're going to go up in value. The government would have us think that it actually means that it's good for the UK economy. I would argue it's bad because the bigger a mortgage you're taking, therefore the more money you owe the bank. Another reason why they're keen to put house prices up is because they can give you bigger mortgages. The more money that you take from the bank, the more money that you're repaying, therefore the less money that you have to spend in shops, doing all the things elsewise. So that would mean that there's less money in the economy overall. It's a complete fallacy that having high house prices is good for the economy. There's so much more to it than that, and it's not quite as clear cut. Like I say, I'm not going to go into more. I'm sure I could go on today. I'm sure I could talk a lot more about massage and fake figures. These are just 3 really great examples. As I say, I'm just making this video so that I can cause people to question what the TV is telling them. I'm not a complete conspiracy theorist, but you have to understand that the government who release these figures have a lot to gain by making them appear lower than what they actually are. Just want to get you thinking is all. Anyway, like I say, hope you enjoyed this video. Nice to see you all again. Good luck and good trading. I'll see you next time.